Sanbonani. Good morning. Let's get straight into it. We've heard many examples of really great projects all over the world and genuine pockets of excellence. Now, how do we upscale these good projects? How do we change policy and legislation in order to create the long-term and the structural social change? Very simply, I think we've been ignoring a very important platform, which are business advocacy organizations. Now, almost all of the countries represented here at One Young World have business advocacy organizations. They include the CBI in the UK, the US Chamber of Commerce in the US, Business Unity South Africa, right here at home, and so on. Their role is to advocate and represent the voice of the business community. So individual companies and businesses are members of these organizations, and these organizations then act as a bridge between business on the one side and governments and policymakers on the other. Currently, they advocate for a supportive environment for businesses to be profitable, more so than the social aims of business. And they're influential in our countries. They have direct input into national policies and legislation, and just last month they contributed to the G20 Heads of State Summit with our presidents and prime ministers. When they speak, our governments listen. So my first and very simple point is that these organizations aren't playing a large enough and visible enough role in advocating social issues. It's a widely known fact that individual companies are playing a large role in social issues. We've seen that in this very session and over the course of this week. It makes sense then that these organizations, as the formal representatives of these companies, should also be making contributions using their platform to social issues. Now, how many of you here today in this room have heard of business advocacy organizations and seen their contribution to social change? My second point is that these organizations do not genuinely represent the voice of young professionals within their member companies. Young people below the age of 30, like us, represent approximately 28% of the workforce. So if they leave out us as young professionals, they leave out the voice of more than a quarter of the workforce that they're said to represent. With many of you in this room being young professionals, again, how many of you have the platform to contribute to what these organizations lobby for? You are part of that business community they represent, but do you have any say? And this leads to our call to action. We need to bring the voice of young professionals into business advocacy organizations by creating youth bodies within them. Then we need to actively collect the views of young professionals on key policies and legislation on an ongoing basis and make sure that these views are considered in the lobbying activities of these organizations. They already have the platform and they're giving input on legislation and policy, so the platform is there. We just have to make sure our voice is heard. Further, we need to use the platform that they have for policy and legislation in order to lobby governments on social issues, to create the laws and legislations that will take the individual CSR projects that a lot of companies are doing and scale them up and make long-lasting change. As a small example, one project led here in South Africa by young professionals is based on the belief that part of the solution to the education problem lies in linking teacher incentives and student rewards to academic performance. This has been piloted over the past 4 years at an underprivileged school in South Africa, and the pass rate has risen by over 20 percentage points. Now we need to scale that up, but we have to talk to government to do that. We have to talk to the teacher unions to do that in order to create a lasting change. And that is where we must use the platform of the business advocacy organizations to lobby for the long-term changes. So if you believe that your country has serious and urgent problems that the business community can help solve, and if you believe that the voice of business needs to meaningfully represent young professionals, then our call to you today is when you go home, start a youth body within a business advocacy organization in your country. We're doing it here in South Africa, and we've received a wonderful response. They want to work with us. And in the same way, we've also created a blueprint that you can start from. You have to approach some of the most senior people in your country in order to do this. And we've created the blueprint, and we can start from it and together do this. So let's incorporate the voice of young professionals and change the dialogue. let's get business advocacy bodies to advocate on behalf of the profit aims and the social aims of business. It's time to use this great platform that they have in order to scale our actions and create long-lasting change for all our people. Thank you.